Breaking this hour, train service coming to a grinding halt in France just hours before the Olympic Games opening ceremony. We'll tell you what we know about the impact so far.
Connecticut State Police have been called in to investigate an untimely death in Meriden. What we know so far coming up next.
Also, look at this. 2 bears destroyed the inside of a car here in Connecticut. How'd they get in the car in the first place?
All local, all morning. This is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Just torn to shreds there. My goodness.
Yeah.
Yikes. We'll have more on that for sure. But good morning. Happy Friday. Thanks for starting yours off with us here at Fox 61 and Fox 61 Plus America area.
And I'm Tim Lammers. Yes, happy Friday. It looks like we've got a wonderful weekend.
I feel like we earned it, though, right? Right?
Yeah.
We earned that.
I'm walking around downtown Bushnell Park holding a tip jar later on going, yeah, that's right. We delivered you the right stuff at the right time. Good to have you along. Oh yeah, that's what we're calling it. Lower humidity, loads of sunshine on tap, and the weekend we're going to build the heat and humidity, but we are still rain free, and that's the way we like a weekend, right? Satellite and radar picture is quiet. Dry air has swept away all of the moisture, and looking off to the west, we're not seeing any trouble. It feels good out there. Temperatures at 66 in Hartford, 67 in New Haven, 65 in Groton. But I present to you a dew point map that we can all just marvel at. Low to mid 50s for your dew points. That's exactly where we want it, and that's exactly where it's going to be staying for the time being. Forecast details for today: 71 at 9 o'clock, 81 at 2. Loads of sunshine beginning to end on the planet. I like this a lot. Talk about the weekend. We will talk about when to expect some rain. See if that's coming anytime soon. That's coming up in a bit. 6:02. Sun glare may be the only hazard weather-wise the Road Warriors have to deal with this morning.
Yeah, at least in the 6 o'clock hours so far. It's a beautiful start to the day out there. However, we are seeing a little bit of a slowdown as some of the construction zones begin to wrap up as we approach we are now in the 6 o'clock hour rather. We are seeing a bit of a slowdown along 91 out in the Windsor Locks area right now. The northbound side speeds around 11 miles per hour where that construction work was wrapping up. But let's take a look at the drive times. In the grand scheme of things, 91 from Windsor down to Hartford looking pretty good. Speeds right around where they need to be heading to the 84 interchange, and 84 East looking good as folks travel toward the Hartford Tunnel this morning. We have your next update coming up at 6:30.
Hi, Symphony. Thank you.
Well, this morning, Connecticut State Police are investigating what they're calling an untimely death in Meriden.
Yeah, it happened on Golden Street near North Broad Street. Fox 61's Brooke Griffin is live in Meriden with what we know and what we're still trying to figure out. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you. Right now, we do know that state police have taken over this investigation, but unfortunately, they've not been able to release a whole lot of information so far this morning. But we do know that Meriden police are not the ones involved whatsoever in this investigation. Per the Connecticut State's attorney, the State Police Major Crimes Unit has taken over that scene. Now, we sometimes see this happen due to the physical nature of the crime, or if someone is involved, that it may be a conflict of interest for a police department. We know that they were called to Golden Street last night for an untimely death. They spent several hours completing that investigation, but have since cleared that scene. This is the second death investigation in Meriden this week. A woman was shot and killed on the Meriden Green Monday night. Another woman has since been arrested in connection with that shooting. Now, that marks 2 deaths here this week in Meriden. That first one back on Monday was actually the city's first homicide of the year. So definitely waiting on a lot more information from state police on this one. And as soon as we have anything else, any new information, anything that develops, we'll of course get that out to you. Live in Meriden, Brooke Griffin, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Brooke, thank you. We appreciate it. At 6:04, we've got breaking news out of France right here on the day of the Olympics opening ceremony. We've now learned that train service all over the country has been disrupted by fires and other forms of vandalism. It's going to give you a live look here outside one of the train stations in France. Looks like security is there. Now, France's national rail company said some high-speed lines were hit by what they're calling malicious acts. We don't know for sure if they're connected to tonight's opening ceremony, but boy, it would be awfully coincidental. And it is affecting service for spectators heading into Paris, and that includes trains from other countries like Belgium and London. And boy, a whole lot of people are expected to watch that opening ceremony tonight. Some 300,000 spectators are expected to watch close to 7,000 athletes. We're going to be packed onto 90 boats that will travel down the River Seine. That's in place of a traditional march into the Olympic Stadium. The parade will go from east to west, starting at the Austerlitz Bridge. And about 3,000 dancers, artists, and other athletes will be featured in the ceremony.
This morning, people in New Haven are speaking up a year and a half after a 16-year-old was killed in a shooting. Now, this comes after officers arrested 3 people in connection to Joshua Vasquez's murder. He was just riding his bike down the street when he was shot in December of 2022. Police used surveillance video and license plates readers to identify the driver as 46-year-old Letitia Brown, charging her and 59-year-old Ronald Miller in connection to the case in April of 2022. But it wasn't until last week where police say the suspected shooter, Angelo Gibson, was arrested.
It must have been terrible to wait a year and a half, but some families, we still owe them this justice, and it's not there yet. And we may not get it, but we're not going to give up.
Bittersweet in the sense that he got his justice, and I'm very thankful for that.
Officers also apologized to the family for the case taking so long to solve. Officers believe the shooting may have been a result of an ongoing feud between the victim and the suspect. A Shelton man facing charges after investigators say a large number of illegal fireworks were found in his home. Police say those were found by firefighters putting out a fire at a home on Bruce Drive on June 22nd. Stephen Lupkus is facing reckless endangerment and illegal possession of fireworks charges. The crews discovered the fireworks but couldn't safely remove them, so they had to do a controlled burn to set them off. Fortunately, no one was injured. And we're getting a closer look here at a pair of bears who caused quite a scene earlier this month in Winstead. State officials say this mama bear got locked inside of a car with her cub. The car was parked next to a home, and the owner says that they woke up to find the bears inside. They called DEP, opened the door, and then the pair ran off. Well, the inside of the car was torn apart, really destroyed. Officials believe the bears opened the unlocked car door.
And then I wonder if they accidentally locked it once they were inside. Yeah, oh boy. Well, this morning, state police said they're still looking for answers after a motorcyclist died in a crash. They said it happened last night in Voluntown just before 5:30 in the area of Shetucket Turnpike and Campbell Mill Road. They said 55-year-old Donald Sonny was heading around a downhill curve when he hit a guardrail and crashed. They're still trying to figure out why he lost control of the bike. So if you saw the crash, please call the state police. Hartford police arrested a woman who's accused of a deadly crash back in May. This morning, Ingrid Galarza is facing several charges, including negligent homicide with a motor vehicle. Police said Galarza was driving the car that hit 2 people on a motorcycle. This was at Zion Street and Harbison Avenue, right next to Rocky Ridge Park. The driver of the motorcycle died the next day at a hospital, and a passenger was also hurt. At noon today, Hartford's mayor and interim police chief are both expected to announce changes to policing practices in the city. We don't know much about what those changes are going to be as of right now, but the mayor's office said they'll be designed to do 3 things: increase visibility, effectiveness, and transparency. We'll learn more once that happens at noon. That's going to be at Hartford City Hall.